Hey guys, welcome back for another lesson. Today we are playing one of my new favorites, Astroneer. This is a Game Pass game, and it's a steal for how much creativity it really has to offer. If you like Minecraft, Grow Up, or Subnautica, this is definitely a game for you. But enough about that, let's talk about what this video has to offer. I'm going to delve into the advanced mechanics of power and how to use it, information on oxygen, and the power to move any object to any location with ease. If you are looking for something in particular, check the description for timestamps, because part 1's a doozy. Part 3 is where all the fun stuff starts. While this video will address many game factors that affect all players, it is still recommended for advanced players that are seeking new and revolutionary info and ideas to make the game as great as it can be. Be sure to let me know down in the comments how I did, and if I should make more crazy videos for this game. Alright, so let's jump into the first and most important aspect of Astroneer, energy. As you may already know, every energy-related item has its own storage, consumption, or generation, so let's break those down first. While using augments or other power modules, your energy will deplete, whereas using a generator or tethering to a powered platform will fill your energy. While taking a look at your backpack, you can see a yellow bar divided into 10 segments. These segments are called units. This is the term we will be using for energy in this video. So taking a step back, let's look at other commonly used items. As your backpack only holds 10 units, it is useful to use small batteries, which hold 32 units, enough to charge your backpack 3 more times. The large battery used for vehicles and bases holds up to 256 units, or 8 small batteries. Vehicles have their own internal batteries, varying in size, so it's good to know how much power we have, but how long will it last? This also depends on the object. Terrain tool augments by themselves don't use too much power, under 1 unit per second apiece, but using multiple will yield high energy requirements. For example, my favorite augments are the alignment, wide mod, and boost mod, which add up to a total of a whopping 2 units per second, quickly draining my backpack. So without being tethered to a power source, digging can be a nuisance. But on a technical note, when receiving power through a tether, it will simultaneously charge both your backpack and the battery inside. So small batteries will effectively increase your charge rate. By far the best vehicle to use energy-wise would be the buggy. Using only 0.03 units per second, that's 3% of a unit every second. The buggy will last 130 seconds, a bit over 2 minutes. This means that each of the 2 available slots for small batteries can add over 17 minutes of driving each, with winches, which we will definitely talk about later. This can make relocating and opening gateways a breeze. Next up is the tractor. Much like rovers, which without winches can connect up to 3 trailers for extra storage, the tractor uses 0.074 units per second and will last 53 seconds. Each small battery connected to the tractor or its trailers will add 7.2 minutes of drive time, and the medium batteries will grant almost 58 minutes of power. The rovers work the same way, except for the fact that the connected rovers acting as trailers can also store their own internal energy, at no extra cost to the amount of energy used when driving. A medium rover can drive for 16 seconds, adding 64 seconds per small battery and 8.5 minutes per medium battery. The large rover can drive for 16 seconds as well, but due to its consumption rate, batteries will last half as long as with the medium rover. Any level drill will consume 1 unit per second, so the rover will last twice as long without one. Alright, now that we're through with the vehicles, let's take a look at how we can generate power for our base. The best sources of energy would have to be the shelters and the RTG, because these provide power indefinitely at no upkeep. Next would be the batteries. because as long as these are stored, they will provide the base with energy according to their throughput limits. My favorite source of power would have to be wind power. Though the rates are low and the wind is random, these turbines will still work in underground caves, making them great for underground bases and rover mining trips. These will not work during storms. Each planet has its own level of wind, and this rating will increase the amount of wind on that planet, thus deciding how often your turbines will run. On the flip side, there is solar power. While these solar panels must have direct line of sight to the sun, you can count on the sun rising every day to charge your batteries. The most important thing to remember though about solar panels is how they are affected by the sunlight level. While wind levels control the duration or occurrence of wind on the planet, sun levels will control how much energy the panels will generate when the sun hits. The numbers listed now are assuming a medium sunlight level. On planets with very low sunlight, solar panels will only generate 25% of normal energy production, while very high sunlight yields 175%. Okay, now that we know how to generate power, let's see how it's used. But first, let me show you how to tell if you have enough power. On the sides of most platforms, there are cable ports with gauges. Any red shown on this gauge means there is no power or not enough power. Once the yellow meter reaches half, you have equal production and consumption. Anything above half is considered surplus. So what will be powered in our base? Most importantly would be our printers. This is how much power they each need to run efficiently, and each one's duration will vary depending on the number of resources inserted into the printer. The backpack printer will always take 2.5 units to build an item. For the small printer, each resource you add will add almost 7 seconds for a total of 13 seconds when filled. The medium printer holds 3 resources and each adds 10 seconds for a 30-second build time on bigger items. The large printer obviously takes the longest, which each of the resources add 40 seconds, up to more than 2.5 minutes when full. Here are the other machines you may be using, and how much power they require for full functionality. They must be connected to a platform that is connected to your power source. By the way, you can add as many lights as you want, as they only need to be plugged into a power source and don't actually consume any power. This is how much power they use while running, but each machine runs a different duration. While some depend on the item used or needed, some machines operate within a time frame. As you can see, medium batteries are my preferred method of storing energy, as they have a very high rate of discharge. I won't explain in depth the requirements for charging them because it will vary depending on how often or how many machines are running. What I can do is give an example of what an endgame base may need. All of these numbers are also listed in the power page of the Astroneer wiki, which I will link in the description below. Okay, so let's do 2 chemistry stations, 2 smelting furnaces, a soil centrifuge, atmospheric condenser, a large shredder, 4 research chambers, and a large printer. I'm not going to add anything else because your base should always have surplus power anyways for future improvements. So that's 36 units of energy per second that this base will need to transport in order to have all machines working correctly at once. Medium batteries have a throughput of 3 units per second. This means you need 12 medium batteries just to move that power through your base without other energy production. This can be achieved similarly with 4 to 5 solar arrays, but only while they are online. Once you have enough batteries to move the power for a limited time, just add generators to charge them up while you're away. I hope this helps the minimalists out there that hate wasting that precious copper on more generators. Okay, so on a final note for energy consumption, it's worth noting that the gateway chambers on each planet will require more energy to activate depending on the difficulty of that planet. These will always take 30 seconds of constant power at the desired rate to activate. Okay, so everyone has suffocated at least once on here. Maybe some of this info will help you not do that again. So, first and foremost, your oxygen tank can hold 72 seconds of air, which only lasts 50 seconds while running. You will be notified at 50% tank, as well as 25%. When you start to suffocate, you have about 5 seconds to run before you are forced to walk. And 10 seconds later, you will fall. While being an endgame item, those that attain the portable oxygenator can essentially trade a full bar of energy for a tank of oxygen over 7.5 seconds. Something you may not know is that the oxygenator will also tether you to nearby players, giving them oxygen as well for no extra cost, as well as transferring power through you from energy sources you are tethered to. Remember to turn this off when your oxygen is full, or it will continue to leach your energy. Oxygen can most commonly be obtained through tethers, which can be stuck to any surface, such as mineshaft ceilings, to avoid vehicle contacts. The tethers must be connected back to a structure that is connected to an oxygenator, though the oxygenator itself requires no power. Without a vehicle, the only other way to get oxygen is by building oxygen filters in your backpack, which give 72 seconds of air if left connected. It is said that you can stretch these out for about 11 minutes if you remove them from the backpack while your oxygen is full. Okay, let's get into the wacky game-changing discoveries that have been achieved using none other than winches. So you may have overlooked this item while researching, thinking, why would I need a winch? I have 3 trailers. Let me show you. First of all, a winch in Astroneer is no normal winch, but more like a bungee cord. So when you attach this to a platform, it will pull whichever item isn't fixed to you or the ground. So many applications. This means so much extra storage on rovers, because the winch can pull extra trailers, storage silos, platforms, and any other object. The only downfall is integrity. Winch tethers will not break when colliding with objects, but they will if the object is moved too far away. While the crazy movements usually won't break the tethers, I recommend minimizing them underground, because your winched items can get stuck and left behind. After many failed attempts, I have more or less found an effective method for transferring a giant base platform, so you can have extra shredders, storage, or any module you would like, excluding the trade platform, which usually won't allow the rocket to land while the platform is suspended. If your platform won't suspend right, take one of the winches, move it back, and that will usually tighten. What other things can these beautiful pieces of machinery do? Let's try this. Ah! Okay, so not that. Another huge application for these winches is to hook them to your backpack. Now you have the power to connect as many platforms to you as you like, and move them to wherever you please, including space. You can also connect the winch to an item, and then put the item in your backpack. So now whenever you're ready to drop the item off, instead of looking for the winch, you can merely take the item back out of your backpack. If gateway chambers are your next mission, consider tethering a platform with generators to yourself or your vehicle. Now you can go from gateway to gateway, charging them one at a time. My only disappointment is the fact that I waited to use these until I had spent all 125,550 bytes of research. Oh no. No, oh shoot! Dorothy, no! Dorothy! No! Not again. Dorothy! Come to me, child. I have a platform. Ah! Dorothy! No!